Thank you for listening to Paranormal XL Podcast. I'm Gigi, and of course, Mama Mary is with me. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Are you recovered?
Yeah.
Yeah, we barely are. It took a few days. We have to remember every year that we're getting older, and however, our spirits are young, our meat suits are not, and we get super tired, and it takes a long time to recover, and we just couldn't stick a Band-Aid on it and go along our day the next day.
It drains your energy.
Oh, God, did it ever. We had fun, though, what we remember. I wish we would have taken more pictures, because when you do that, when you have a night like that, then you kind of go back. And
you're like, oh, okay, I kind of remember that. And they're like, I did that?
Yeah, see, as of right now, we're missing like 6 hours of the night when we're like, really, though, what happened? You know, waking up with scars and like, yeah. What in the hell?
It's sort of like the Blair Witch 2 movie where they all kind of like wake up and don't remember stuff they did.
Yeah, that's usually a Friday night at our house anyway, but I'm kidding. When did you see that? I want to see that.
Oh gosh, that movie's been out for a really long time. It's a good movie though.
I would like to see that. So with the new year, as I was just telling Mama, it's a new year, not a new us. We're just going to do an improved us.
That's
because
right.
Word for word, what I just said is that we're pretty awesome. We don't need new us's. And nobody should say that anyway. New year, new me. Nobody wants a new you.
That's
People
true.
love you.
Like that's why I never set like New Year's resolutions.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it anyway. And whether it's July or January, it's if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Just do your shit.
Yeah, pretty much. So this is our first recording of the new year, and we have no wine. And she did message me to tell me she didn't have any. I did not stop and get any on purpose just because I'm still recovering.
Hey,
I have my energy drink here.
It's okay.
We'll do this. And this is a good one. I chose this one on purpose just so we can get back to kind of how we started our podcast with being informative about paranormal subjects, not just ghosts and whatnot, but just being a spiritual type of person.
Mm-hmm.
People have questions or they don't completely understand, and people that do live the spiritual way will understand exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
And if not, you're learning, and that's
the whole point.
Right, to be informative. That's why we're doing this. So in this episode, we are going to discuss spiritual guides, which is, I know, a good one for Mary, because that was something even from the first time that I met her that we've discussed.
Oh yeah, and when you get into spirituality in general, that's like the first thing you really start to connect with. Right. Is learning that we do have spirit guides and guardian angels, and they do guide us.
Would you say that I'm not going to say all, but for most people that start on their spiritual journey, that's kind of their starting point where something kind of hits them. And they're like, I think I'm being told something, but I don't know what. And they follow into that, and that brings them into their journey.
Like some type of like spiritual experience where, normally they would turn right, but something told them to turn left, and they avoided a big accident type thing.
Right.
It kind of gets you to think that there's more out there that's guiding us. Or like, with an example, Skylar and her boyfriend, they left to go back up north, I think on Monday. Mm-hmm. And normally I'm okay with her leaving, but I had this huge desire to see her before she left. So I asked if she would have Santos bring her over to Hastings first so I could say goodbye to her.
Right.
And, I gave him some gas money to do it, and he did. And they literally missed a huge accident by 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So it's sort of like those things where even Skylar said, I said, well, aren't you glad you came to see me now? She goes, yes. And now I realize I need to start praying to my angels like you tell me to. Mm-hmm. Yes. Because it's those kind of synchronicities.
Right.
That your guides are going to come through whatever resource they can tap into to help you. And if you listen and you follow your instincts.
I was just going to say that. So as we all know, I love like NCIS, and Gibbs is always referring to his gut. So when people refer to that gut feeling, okay, my gut's telling me this, that's an instinct, which links back to your spiritual guides that they're trying to tell you something. All right.
Just like a lot of times when I do my readings, I connect with my guides and the guides of the people I'm reading for. And that's how I channel that energy. I don't necessarily hear them with my ears, but I write down what I get, and it's always dead on.
It is. I know. You creeped me out the first time I met you.
Thank you.
Not a bad way. Not a bad way. Not all creepy is bad.
No, not all creepy.
So as we'll start off with, what is a spirit guide? And, you know, the amazing Wikipedia. And I go to Wikipedia on these types of things because of the fact that, well, anybody can go in and change the Wikipedia stuff. I get that. So with that being said, of course, people that look this up, they can kind of explain it a little better than if I was to go to websterdictionary.com. Or where they're like, okay, it's an adjective, or, you know, whatever.
It's a little bit more stiff.
Yeah. So this can give you kind of a spiritual meaning to a spiritual term. That makes any sense. So a spirit guide is an entity that remains as a discarnate spirit to act as a guide or protector to a living incarnated human being. Wow, that's a horrible reading, and I apologize. But that's what Wikipedia and the people on Wikipedia say that a spirit guide is. Now, if I was to come up and ask you, which I know I have, how would you explain spirit guide?
I would explain it the same way. Before we come onto Earth, we signed soul contracts with the people that we're going to engage with here on Earth, but we also sign contracts with the beings that are still going to be crossed over. And usually a spirit guide is somebody who has walked the earth before. They've just leveled up so much vibrational wise that they're there to help guide you. So we all know our guides, we just don't remember them.
Okay.
And we sign contracts and we decide what kind of lives we're going to live, what kind of lessons we want to learn, and they know them and they help us through those lessons. And, you know, that's why sometimes they step in to intervene. But sort of like angels, if you want help, you have to ask for it. If you want to connect, you have to ask for it. They're always there guiding you. But if you want more and you want to delve deeper into it, you have to have that faith and tap into it and be open to what you get.
Right.
Sort of like yesterday was a little bit of a stressful day. And I know that when my dad is connecting, he leaves dimes.
Okay.
So I'm at work and I'm walking past the door and I see a dime on the floor. And I thought to myself, oh, I wonder if that's my dad. So I walk out into the break room, get myself a cup of coffee, come back in. That dime is sitting on my desk right where I would sit down and look.
Right.
I looked at it. Now, did the dime hop up there itself? No. One of the people from up front came back into the office, saw the dime on the floor, picked it up
there,
and put it on there. But you look at that synchronicity where spirit worked through her to put that on my desk to give me confirmation that that was my dad. It's those little things that happen every day that we don't even think twice about. No. That you need to start paying attention to, because that's where you're going to get your signs.
Right. Well, yeah, we actually referred kind of back to that, I'd say the last episode that we did, where we are trained because we have to live life here where we're not looking outside the big box and kind of taking that deep breath and saying, okay, now how did that really get there? But why did that get there? There's always the question why. A lot of people don't ever ask the question why
when they should. For what it is.
Yeah.
Well, just like, New Year's Day, I wrote out all my mom's horoscopes, her like natal chart.
Yeah.
And then horoscopes for like the 8th. But when I was recording, I was talking about one of the reasons that she always deals with death. Whether, taking care of her sister when they're passing, with my father. And it's because, she's a Scorpio, and Scorpio's ruled by Pluto, and Pluto's always all about death and rebirth and transformation, and so is Scorpio.
Right.
And I was talking about how she should just look at it that way and not grieve, but see the purpose, see that's her life purpose. Is to care for people who are crossing over. And right when I said that, right over by the door, something fell. It freaked me out because I was sitting in here in the gypsy wagon. I thought someone was trying to get in because it was like getting dusk and I'm scared of the dark.
And you're like, hello?
It was like, you could hear it clear as day. And I sat there, and when I started talking again, you could hear my voice kind of shaking because it creeped me out. And then I could tell that spirit was here. So that was kind of like a confirmation of what I was saying. And even you could hear it play to this day when I played it back. And it freaked her out when she heard it.
Right.
She's like, you can hear it. There's nothing. It sounds like someone dropped a key.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like. It's those little things. Paying attention to those because, a lot of times you hear a noise, you're like, yeah, it's a noise.
Right. We just keep moving on.
And, you got to think about what you're saying or what you're thinking because it's connected to it. Even if you're thinking to yourself and something happens that triggers your thought, think about what you were thinking at the time because there's a message there. And that's how guides and angels get their messages through.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
Looking at you all weird.
I have 5 guides that I know of, and you have your main guide, and he's your master guide. He's always there. He's the most powerful one, and for me, that one is I just call him Monk. I don't think I've ever really received a name from him, but that's what he looks like to me. It's a monk.
Okay,
and I think that's where I get the Buddhist tendencies, where I can connect with that kind of energy because it's close to the Native American type process. And then my second guide, her name's Angelique, and they've all come to me in dreams. It's just weird. And she's the goth. She's where I get that urge to be gothic, because you'll notice when you start connecting with your guides, everybody finds that they have really weird moods, and sometimes they feel like looking this way, sometimes they feel like doing it this way. It's because your guides are connecting you and putting their energy and leading you where you need to be to, be good with your day. So she's like my little goth witch. She's all dressed in black hair long. And she always tells me, to be quiet, that there's some things I don't need to tell people. Sort of like she's my magic.
Yeah, I get it.
And then my third one, I remember meeting her in a dream, and she's a little girl, probably about 8. It was a creepy dream. Her name is Lochte.
Okay.
And I was on a back road, on a dirt road, and I was walking, and I was coming to like a curve around the bend, and there's a picnic table to the left that was kind of like on a cliff, like a hill. Mm-hmm. And then I sit down on the picnic table, and I hear a little girl go, "Isn't it great?" And I turn around, there's this big white house, and this little girl sitting in the lawn that was holding a teddy bear. I said, "Well, what's great?" She goes, "When you can hear a spirit." And I said, "Yeah." I said, that is a pretty cool gift. She goes, I can hear a spirit. You want to see? And then she holds out the teddy bear to me, and then starts talking through the teddy bear. It's really weird. But when I do my readings, I can always tell when she comes through because I start to rhyme. It becomes playful, and all of a sudden, all my words are rhyming. So she helps me with my readings, and I have a healer guide, and I feel like his name is Raven. He's the one that comes through to help me heal. Okay. And I always call on him when I'm doing my healing work. And then I call him my smart guide. And I remember meeting him when it was a weird dream. I was driving in my truck, and he was sitting in the passenger seat next to me, and he's very, very skinny, brown hair, very, very skinny and tall, lanky. Mm-hmm. And I remember I felt like I owed him rent or something. So I handed him the money. I said, "Okay, here." Then I said, "I'll see you next month." And he started to get out. I said, "Wait a minute. I said, what's your name?" He goes, "Jameson." And then all of a sudden, I said, "You're the smart one." He goes, "Yes, you're welcome." And then gets out. So for me, so when I'm channeling energy to be successful at something, he's who I channel. Okay. As weird as it sounds, as you spiritually grow at different levels, you get more information in, and you're able to connect more. And that's, anytime I meditate, I always write down what I get, because that's how I get my messages from my guides. Ringing in your ears. That's another, angels. So depending on which side it is, I know if it's female or male.
Right. This was a bad episode not to have wine on. I'm just...
You're like, what the hell are you talking about?
No, these are questions that I know I'm not the only one to have. That's why we do have listeners, because, even if somebody does know a lot, because nobody knows everything about what we talk about, because that's the joy about paranormal. Has a different
take on how they go about it too.
Exactly.
And that's completely normal and fine. It's just, and I think there's a lot of different ways to connect with your spirit guides.
Just from my research on this, I have you, but then I researched. You're way much better than my research. You're way better than my research. But I've gotten to learn that, too, just from the research and reading personal stories from other people. You know, the different types of guides, the how they connect with them or how they came through or even when they came through. You know, whether it's a child and they realize it or they keep talking to their spiritual guide, but we may have, you know, let's say, okay, Desi had an imaginary friend, but she kept him, you know, all these years.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it comes out, okay, that's her spiritual guide, you know, that type of thing.
And there's tons of guides that will come and go. So based on something that you're going through in your life, certain guides will come
situations
in and help you.
Yeah.
Just like when I do my healing work, I always call to Jesus and Mother Mary as healers because they're considered ascended masters. And that's
they're actually in some of my notes.
Mm-hmm,
the Mother Mary is.
Yep. And those kind of things come to you. That I reached that conclusion that I'm working with her because I go through things where I keep on getting messages about Mother Mary or why people call me that. And then you take those signs and you connect it where that's what you work with.
Are you my guide?
Maybe. No. No.
Aw, I just get so happy. Facebook told me my dad was one of my guardian angels, and I have to believe Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
I did one of those, you know, those little quiz things. I'm like, okay, fair enough. I'll buy this one. So, I do have the 7 types now. Like I said, this is strictly from my research, so if any of this is wrong or you have stuff to add, jump in. There may be 28 million different types. I don't know, but this is what I got. Okay. 7 types, a half man and half beast, which is transspecies. The spirit guide will manifest into like centaurs, mermaids. Most of the time, they will manifest themselves into looking like if I was at that type of guide, the human part would look like me. And then the beast part would be like the mermaid or whatever, bull. I don't know. That's what I got from that.
Oh, yeah. Well, just like I have a gargoyle in my energy.
She's got lots of gargoyles
in her yard. People go, there's something with you. It doesn't really feel bad, but it looks like it's bad. Like, because
it's a protector, right?
Yeah.
That's what I
And
would
so,
assume.
like, when I'm doing my magic and things like that, that's what he's there for. He guards me, and he helps with the magic.
Yeah.
And just like, you know, someone did a psychic painting for me, and we couldn't figure out what that was until Skylar got me a gargoyle doing the same thing. And I looked at him like, oh, it's my gargoyle. And again,
he just follows me around.
That's another sign where,
yeah,
I think I showed it to you. It makes the connection. You know?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, now I get it. And then you just move on to the next message.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another one is animals or totems. Which would be, says represents a person's own inner thoughts and wants. I wrote really, really small. Not so much in group use nowadays, but more as a personal use, where like before, and how I pictured when I was reading this was, okay, we'll go back to Native Americans where they would sit around the fire and then they would envision an otter or some kind of animal. Now, say nowadays, because we've transformed a lot of witchcraft, anything spiritual has been transformed because, it's coming out a little more these days is acceptable. A lot of people like to do it by themselves, so they're not going to do these in a group.
Exactly.
So now when people are being taught these, like when we're teaching our younger generation these things, where versus before it was like a family that would sit around and try to manifest things together. Now we're trying to do it by ourselves and reaching our guides by ourselves.
Yep. Everything, all animals have, a different meaning. Like deer,
I love
for
them
me,
all.
They're always like about new beginnings. So if I'm thinking about something and I see a deer,
remember that one? Sorry.
Well, I told you about the dream I had, didn't I, with the deer?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that was a weird dream. But for me, like I said, deers represent new beginnings. And in my dream, me and the kids are sitting out here. And we were looking past and saw a bunch of deer coming out of the woods.
Right.
And so they start running as a herd, and one starts running towards us. And then it stops in front of me and allows me to pet it. And then it grabs onto my shirt and just starts playing, but it's letting me pet it. So for me, and then I woke up. It was just a weird dream.
Yeah.
Where
how cool would that be, though?
Yeah, the deer's running at you, and I thought he was going to trample me, but it was playful. So, positive new beginnings.
Yeah.
Even when you're going to get into a situation where it's really, really scary.
You think it might be scary, and it's not.
And you feel like you're done, but all of a sudden, the outcome's completely different than what you expected. It's sort of like that. When I see a fox, I can be warned to watch my back with somebody. A frog's all about, transitions and new beginnings, because that's what frogs do. They transform.
Yes.
It's sort of like that. It's learning, like a wolf. A wolf's big for me.
Okay.
And, because wolves are very pack family, taking care of people, and they put the oldest in the front and the youngest in the front, and they herd up the back to protect everybody.
Yep. I'm going to say, yeah.
Very powerful.
Wolves are very, I'm going to say very, as far as the animals go, very spiritual, powerful symbol for all religions, really, or beliefs. I'm not going to say religions, but belief systems.
Yeah,
it's
they're
so pretty too.
Not
that I
really,
want to
it's
really
just
pet one, but
connecting with the animal and looking up the spiritual meaning of it and seeing where it connects with you.
Right,
because you could probably take a
complete
different meaning than somebody else.
Right, that makes sense because we're all different. I got light beings, guardian angels, help move people through bad times such as death, loss, or grief.
Oh, yeah.
Which would they be ones that you get to see?
Yeah,
or is that more of a feeling, or
are also beings that have walked Earth before.
Okay.
Unlike with archangels, they have never been human ever, and so they are like our loved ones who have crossed over, and you would sense their presence. Or you would see flashes of light, which I see that often, and which is different than when you're looking at spirit, because spirit's more of a energy moving. So if you can tap into seeing that, because I see that often.
You notice the difference.
It's like a flash of light. Like when you're seeing your archangels, they usually flash the light of a color that represents them. Is when you're seeing a guardian angel.
Like when I messaged you about the yellow that time.
Yep.
What the hell's going on?
Why am I seeing yellow?
Sarah, grab another bottle of wine. Stat. That's called withdrawals. No, just kidding. I'm kidding. Ancestors, entities that have blood ties to us, can be a recent passed over relative or long ago. Messages are known to be life changing when they come from them.
Yes. Yep. And that's the big things and the ties to our past where we need to learn something in order to progress farther. And it's important.
Right.
It's sort of like my nephew having a dream of my dad. And my mom didn't get into it exactly what was said. But in the dream, he was sitting way across in a mall from my dad. And then all the room cleared out. And my dad came and sat with him and said, "This is going to sound really confusing to you. But I need to tell you this because it's important. But it's going to take a couple of months. But one day you're going to understand."
Okay.
It's sort of like that. That would be that kind of scenario.
It's like when my grandpa came to me that time with the paperclip.
Yeah.
With the paperclip. So I'll never forget that. When I think of the ancestor type of guide, I don't know, again, I go back to the Native Americans just because I know. Apparently, I think I just watched too much movies, maybe. I don't know. But I do think, I don't know, maybe the movies that I watch portray them, I don't want to say completely correctly, but it's never bad or anything. But when they reach out, it's usually for their guides. They're reaching out to their ancestors.
They're trying to connect and get the answers and, showing respect
to their,
just like in Twilight.
Thank you, because I kept going back to that and I wasn't going to call myself out on that. Was it not ancestors? There's another name for ancestors, but I don't know. I could be here all day trying to think of words because I'm bad at words. But anyway, that's always a good one. Plants, which they vine of souls. Plants stimulate hallucinations. Ingesting them, and then of course it messes with your mental state, your physical, emotional expansion. But what they say is that will open up your mind to other possibilities.
Yep.
Where, we are closed off because we're set, okay, we got to do this, 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 and this, and we can't go past that. So when you're, tripping on some mushrooms or something good.
Well, that's why, in the 70s, the 60s and 70s, that's one of the main reasons why they did all that. They smoked the pot and they did the acid. was not so much they wanted to
Get that high.
party and get high. It was to open their mind and transcend.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how you spiritually evolve, is to transcend and
peaceful.
tap into it. It helped them tap into those higher spiritual realms.
Right.
It's the easiest way to do it. Not that you should go do it. It's
right.
just,
Well, it said in the research, like, if you choose to go that route, make sure that you're with somebody like a, I had it.
somebody that can
down.
pull you back out.
Yes. Really? Apparently, I think I write things down and I don't because it's me. The shamans.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another one.
Like a gatekeeper.
Yeah. Somebody that knows that can snap you out of it. Like,
Pull you back out.
yeah. Has done it. Probably a little old lady somewhere in a cabin somewhere would be the one to go to. I mean, that sounds crazy, but just like in the movies, she knows what she's doing. She's going to be able to help you out. Where, like, if you do it and then you go to the ER, they're just going to drug you up some more and it's going to be, you're not going to get what you need.
You're going to wake up in jail.
yeah, essentially, and be like, what? I was trying to tap into my spiritual guide, and they're going to be like, okay, here's a padded room. Hope you like your white jacket and your helmet, and here you go. And we don't need that.
No.
But again, nowadays, I believe we're becoming more open to these things where people are listening. I'm listening. I want to say, I do this every episode. I don't fully believe maybe for myself. But boy, do I find it interesting, and I love learning all about it because I can conversate with you about it because I've done my research on it.
There you go.
Like, and I've actually gotten Sean
talking about it too.
Exactly. And he's like, well, you're not crazy yet. And I'm like, because we had a whole discussion. I said, okay, look. I said, I find this stuff super interesting. Some of it really calls to me, like,
it makes sense. Some of you are like, what?
In my innards. That sounds horrible, but emotionally it connects to me. Some of this other stuff, it doesn't so much connect to me. Maybe not yet. Maybe it never will. But I am not closed off to learning about it because I do want to learn about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because it is super interesting as to why can't I feel the same way that you do about this stuff? You know, and that's kind of why.
Well, it's something you grow into.
Yeah.
And then, once you learn that level, you start having a different level trigger you into thoughts and different kind of patterns. Just like I really like doing planetary magic. That calls to me. Researching it calls to me, and figuring out those planets and how you can utilize.
I think that's just
planets,
the coolest thing ever.
Just to manifest what you want. Like right now, we're in like a huge karmic time. Like every piece of structure that you're gonna is gonna crumble and it's gonna get rebuilt.
Okay.
It's just the way it is.
I'm like, okay, I better get my hammer ready. So we were out in the garage. I even forget where this conversation comes up because, we're just a very odd couple. When we do talk, it's very odd conversations. Something about women and blah, 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 blah. And I said, look, I'm the first one to say that we're all crazy. But I said, but I've learned in the past year that us women and our uteruses, we all align with some crazy shit going on up in space.
That's right.
And I'm like, so don't question that because that's beyond your thought process, anybody's thought process. Just know that we align with these planets and these stars, and it's crazy shit. So you don't want to dig into that. Okay. And I'm like, So don't come at me next time it's my time to do my girl thing and ask questions. Yeah.
Away.
Because I got
got moon shit behind you.
Yeah. I got the universe standing and it's got my back because, hi, we don't have any wine. Things are trying to get in. You just said things were going to fall apart. Let's not fall apart.
It reminds me when the key fell by the door that wasn't even there in the first place. It doesn't help when you're scared of the dark.
No,
just saying.
It's a good thing it's the afternoon right now. This is my favorite, the gods and goddesses, which is a common one. See, that serve as spirit guides include Athena. I'm gonna murder some of these names. Yeah, Kuan Yin, Apollo. One I'm not even gonna attempt, and Selene.
Well, it's cool because
there's many more.
They talk about like how the gods and goddesses, the 9 ones, the 9 main ones, they correlate with the planets. That each
that makes
planet,
sense.
correlates with a god or goddess in some shape or
That
form.
makes sense.
Like Saturn, I do believe is Zeus. I would have to have the names right in front of me all over again. But like the first one that ever came to me in a dream was the Great Horned One. And I struggled with that at first because I was still holding on to like some Christian beliefs where that would be considered the devil. But I remember him coming and showing me, you know, first he put me with a big waterfall and a mountain, then he put me in a football stadium, and then he put me in like woods.
Okay.
Which I think it was more like, you know, showing me he's everything, you know, earth, air, water, fire type thing. So he is one of the deities that.
Do you think he comes across that way because he's a protector?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he does it? He's not so much evil.
Yes.
He's a protector.
Yes.
Yep.
In the Celtic, you know, gods, that's exactly the, you know.
If you look up some of the images that they say, I'm not saying that's what they are because nobody knows for sure, but what people have perceived the gods to look like, a lot of them, they do look scary just because they're not walking around looking like us. They don't necessarily have to be scary, but they will put some fear into you. My belief is that they're protectors. They're guides.
Oh, yeah.
They're
just like
they
Morrigan,
need to do that.
she's like, she's the protector of warriors. So when there's like a battle going on, the comment would be that she would come and spread protection all over them. And I remember her coming to me in a dream. And it was a bad dream about JJ, but she showed me a triangle and 3 ravens that carried JJ up and protected him.
Okay.
You know, it's just weird symbols and messages like that get you thinking.
Right. And you're like, okay.
And then you research it.
Yeah. Do your research.
Always.
So the last one I got is Ascended Masters, which you did discuss this a little bit ago. Those are the ones that were never...
Now, archangels have never been here. They're the ones...
I said it wrong.
Ascended Masters, they have.
Yeah, beings that have had their spiritual awakenings on Earth already, but they learned all their lessons. Mm-hmm. They went through all their levels. They became enlightened, awakened, and have transcended to the reincarnated cycle.
Basically, they're completely in heaven.
Right. They represent the ultimate spirit guide. Teach all who call on them. And with that being said, it wants to achieve greater wholeness and harmony.
Yeah.
And go.
And go. And, you know, like for me, my 2 main are Jesus and Mother Mary. And that's because when I first started getting into the archangels, because I saw those orbs, 2 of them, when I looked them up, was Jesus and Mother Mary.
Now you believe in Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I totally believe
but
he was
not
real.
in the same sense as, let's say...
the Bible.
Okay, yeah.
Jesus was there to teach love.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm trying to remember that one movie that was so controversial because basically it said you don't have to be religious to have Jesus love you because that's what he was. He was the ultimate healer.
I know.
And
everybody's such a big old ass hypocrite when it comes to that because we gotta love everybody. But I don't have to. But you know,
but I'm gonna judge you.
Yeah, and it's just a big pile of hypocrites everywhere.
What movie was that? It was it had Tom Hanks in it.
Yeah, well,
I have to look it up.
Was it Crucifix?
And basically it was the cover up. They had uncovered something that proved that Jesus wasn't necessarily a Christian faith. He believed in spreading love. That he was spreading the message of love.
When Jesus died, on the cross and stuff, do you think that's when he became an ascended master?
Yes. Because he sacrificed himself for other people.
And that was the first one that people got to see that happen to, not realizing that they were already all over. We are being protected by our guides. Like, he's the one that they actually got to see. Yeah, and that story just kept getting told.
When you think about it, the Christians say that he died on the cross for us. Then the Catholics say the same thing. So which religion is it?
But they hate each other.
Faith. That's why I get confused with religion. They all...
It's because they're closed. They shut themselves off in a box. Okay, well, that's starting to make a little sense. That makes sense as to they got to witness that, and it was something that they never got to witness before. They actually got to see it, and it was like, holy cow.
And he did was take a healer. He was a legit healer. He went through and he healed people.
But he did make the ultimate sacrifice for everybody, and that's what made him...
the Da Vinci Code.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, if you ever research, because he's an artist, Da Vinci, he was very spiritual.
Yes.
He always talked about having epiphanies and seeing things, and a lot of his paintings came from some of his psychic sights that
his visuals or
that
his
he
visions.
had.
Yeah.
That's why they're so amazing. He was very far progressed ahead. He knew exactly what he was talking about. And that's what that movie's about, is that hidden truth of Jesus loved everybody. You don't have to be a certain religion. You don't have to go to church in order to go to heaven. And what real heaven is, it's where your ascended masters are. That's where heaven is. And there is a heaven. It's just, it takes a long time to get there.
Right. It isn't just here and then heaven. There's different
You either come here and
levels.
be good and go to heaven, or hell. It's not like that. No.
Right.
Hell is coming back here and continuously living that same bad
you're not
lesson.
learning.
Exactly.
Pay attention.
And having a horrible life because
you don't gotta let it
can't get out of
consume
a rut.
you either, because there are people out there in the spiritual world that let that totally consume their whole being. And I this is just my feeling on it, they kind of miss exactly what they're supposed to be learning where we are right now, because they're so focused on this other stuff, because they are open to it and they know that it's there. Then there's people that don't know it's there, but then they focus too much on that. What's next?
They don't see that big picture. Exactly.
But what's next is you're going to come right back here.
And just like, people say, well, what about the serial killers and murderers? Well, their vibration is extremely low. This is probably one of their first lifetimes here.
Oh, you wait, I'll get there.
We've all been there. We have probably all been a serial killer or somebody who's killed somebody. And you
taken another life.
Exactly. And then you just progress.
Choice.
You raise your vibration, go back, then come back again, and
learning your moral compass. I'm really big on the moral compass with the right and the wrongs and knowing right and wrong.
Yep, that's the point.
So we keep learning. More gets put on our compass. I don't know. That's just how when I envision things, that's how I see it. I'm just kind of mind blown right now. This episode's going a lot better than I thought it was going to. And I'm actually, the whole Jesus thing's just got my, now that I do a lot of weird thinking. Imagine that.
Well, because
saying the stuff out loud and then having you come in and okay, and then this.
You have that stereotypical idea of Jesus. And so when you hear somebody who doesn't believe in that kind of religion talk about how they believe in Jesus, you're like, wait a minute. But he's just in a different context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw it. Yeah, we just need to stop being so close by. I'm not saying that what we're saying is correct, because we ultimately don't know. I'm always going to be the skeptic or just throw that out there. Do I want to believe that? Yeah, because that sounds wonderful. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a wonderful path to take to learn your lessons. And then each time it's happier for you. It's better. It's more peaceful for you. Who doesn't want to live a life in peace? I know I do, as much as I can. Next life, I'm not having any children. You want peace? I'm just kidding. I love my children.
You want peace. You want peace and quiet.
Be a nun. I'm kidding. Or if you want to.
That'd be too boring for me.
My mom was going to go be one.
Was she?
Messed up, right? Right? Yeah. Why aren't you? Why? Change this.
Yeah.
Bless this, will you?
Get the planets out.
Let's eat some plants. Let's hallucinate. I'm kidding. We do not do that. Let's eat this sage here.
Oh, sage.
So I got 9 ways to connect. I just wrote those down. I didn't really get into it, but scrying. I want to have an episode on scrying.
Okay.
All I know is that it really has something to do with a mirror. You look at it, but seeing what I got to see at that museum and some of the famous scrying mirrors and stuff, and going to some of these shops that I've been to that sell these scrying mirrors, and they have them in case and stuff. I want to dig more into that.
And you can make your own too.
I know, and that stuff's really, really scary.
The black mirror.
It's baby steps for me right now. I'm working on a Ouija board for Mama Mary and I, but I'm putting my good vibes in it, and I'm taking my time with it, because I'm not just going to go buy one from the Walmart. We could, or we could buy one from somebody that we don't know, but we both agreed if we do ever choose to use one, it's going to be one that her and I made, or we've put our own energy into it. That way we know what energy is going to come out of it. Or I just think, not that I totally believe, but I'd rather better safe than sorry.
Good juju.
Yeah. And I will just feel better about using it when we do. We'll probably record if we ever do. Yeah?
Yeah.
My nose. But anyway, back to the scrying thing. I said that's one way to connect. Again, I want to... And I think once I research it, I won't be as scared as I was with the Ouija board thing. Because like we say, that fear thing. And once I research that, It calmed me down
different.
a little bit. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put my own spin on it. And if I put my own energy into it, it's no different than us just sitting here with a piece of paper and writing down things, essentially.
Yeah.
Dream work, which is what you do, right?
Oh, yeah. A lot of my information comes through dreams and premonitions. That's where if I have a premonition, it'll come through a dream.
Dreams scare me. And I wish I could get into Sean's dreams, because there's times where like he's deep into a sleep and he's talking and he's making sense, but like I'm half asleep too, so I don't remember, and I always forget to push record. The other night he was like stupid hillbillies, like I didn't know, and that's what woke me up. And it's just this, and I'd love to like just be a fly on the wall in one of his dreams. Like, what in the hell? No more spicy food for you before bed. See, silence of the mind, which is meditating.
Yeah.
Which we all need to do that anyway. I've been trying to do that. It's my own fault I don't have time, but I try to do that like before I go to bed.
It's hard
when I'm laying down.
Meditation is very hard.
I can't shut this off. Not that anything makes sense that's going on up here, but it doesn't want to shut off.
It is hard to shut it off.
It is. I need a switch. I'm probably gonna say this wrong. It's it's where you open the book.
Oh, yeah.
It's Bibla. This is why I drink wine, and I don't feel so bad when I torture words. But it's the opening the book, whether you open it to a certain page and that number means something to you, or the first word you find in it, or you point, that type of thing. Visualization.
Yeah.
Jeez. This goes back to the other one, the plant medical journey, where you'd want, if you take that route and you're doing shrooms, or you got yourself some good old, weed.
You're seeing the purple dragon.
Yeah, it's, make sure you with somebody that...
Talking caterpillars.
Yeah, just don't make it like your dealer or something. Find somebody that's in the spiritual know-how and understanding to help you with that, because otherwise you're going to be like, okay, why the hell did I see blah, blah, blah. Now, if you take that state and you're under, you smoke or however you do mushrooms, I don't know how people do them.
You
but,
eat them.
Oh, see, no one for fungus.
Not that I ever had. Ever.
I'm like, wait, I think you're lying. But, make it in a safe place. And when you come to or whatever, and you have those questions right away, so you're going to end up forgetting. But that person that's guiding you through your journey will help you come to an understanding as to what you saw versus, yep, I just saw that dragon there. And you're like, well, man, that was so cool. No, it was a message, or that's what they believe. It was a message of something. Here's what you're going to take out of it, or what you need to take out of it. Not that you just got to take a pretend ride on a dragon, because, man, would that be cool?
Yeah, it would.
Like Puff the Magic Dragon, that was my favorite show. It was like the cartoon. I loved it. Trance, self-hypnosis. But would that be kind of like...
Good guided meditation. Yep.
Okay. I'm in a trance. Nature immersion.
Yeah, I could see that.
I could too. I see myself doing that a lot more now than I ever have, where like, even out at my mom's house, where it's like, I'll go out, just take a walk in the woods or whatever, and I'm just taking that in. And whether you hear, like, if you close your eyes and you're standing in the woods, or if you're in the middle of an open field, the noises that you'll hear, just from shutting your brain, down or whatever, and it's just a wonderful feeling. It's very enlightening. Like, you just let go of all your negative energy, because you got that room, that space to just throw it.
That's right.
And get rid of it. See, now I'm sounding crazy.
No, not necessarily.
I mean, that's how I envision it, is when I do that, because I love to do that. I go out someplace nice and quiet, and that's what I do. Sometimes it's nice at the house. Now that my freaking stupid new neighbors chopped down all my woods right there, and that's what I would go. I would take my chair and I'd sit and pretend I was sitting in the woods. I would sit toward our wooded area, That's when, like, the cardinals would come down, the little bunnies come, the deer come. Like, we had so much wildlife that would come up, and you just sit there and they'd come up to you. We don't live that far out of town. So it was just really cool to have all that there, and I could get in touch with that at any time that I wanted. Maybe that's why I'm so cranky now. I'm going to blame it on the neighbor. I'm going to send them the shrink bill.
There you go.
And the wine bill. This is your fault. And last one I have is look for synchronicity. which is, 111, 333, the numbers, the letters that keep coming to you, which you refer a lot back to that.
The dime on the floor, and then the dime being put on your table, or hearing noises that are never there when you're saying something. It's a synchronicity. Right. It's your sign.
You're waking up every day at 1:11 a.m., every time you look at your... it's different if you have your alarm set to that.
Watching everything fall into place perfectly. Like you have one of those days where everything just works out. You would even ask for it. It just happens. And you're like, that's a synchronicity.
Does that really happen, though? Really?
if you're manifesting, yeah. And that's just the universe's way of showing you that you're on the right track.
Okay. I have some good days. But... So I want to know who my guides are. They probably won't show themselves to me. I probably scare them. Just kidding. Now, isn't there a guided meditation for that?
Oh yeah, There's people several that you can
know how to do. To kind of pull that.
Oh yeah,
from you. And what is that called? Is it past life regression or?
No, you just do guided meditation to meet your spirit guides.
What in the hell? That's so funny. So, do you got anything else on the spirit guides? This went
really smooth, didn't it?
Yeah.
No, that's pretty much
did. The basics of it.
How you cover the basics, and if to connect with your spirit guides, just ask. Set the intention that you want to connect with your spirit guides, and there's different ones. So if there's a specific one that you want,
there's different prayers per se to call them.
Yep. Different prayers, and just set that intention. Ask for a sign. Just say, I set the intention to meet my main spirit guide. Will you give me a sign? And, sometimes it happens right away, and sometimes it takes up to 3 days. But watch for that sign. And you'll know it when, you're going to end up walking up on a sign.
I was just going to say, one's probably going to fall on my head.
I see like a grandmother spirit guide with you. I don't know why, but it's like a chubby face. And the short curly hair, grandma hair where it's all curly and silvery white. I don't know why, but that's what the middle guide.
Poor grandmas. They have a few that have crossed over. I know, or I like to feel that they come back. My grandma Bazes came back a few times in a few of my dreams, which I wasn't. I loved her with my all and everything, but we weren't as close as I feel like we should have been for her to come to me as much as she is. But maybe I just looked at it wrong because growing, I was close to her when I was super young. But growing up, you kind of go your own way. Yeah. I had my own family and
sometimes too,
stuff.
it's not so much that you weren't as close. You grieve a little bit less, and so when you're grieving somebody, they can't come through because that pain's blocking them.
Makes sense. Yeah, she's came through a few times. And it's been weird dreams lately, like when Destiny's in all of my dreams and Grandma comes in and tells us not to do something, because that was my childhood. Always chasing me around because I was the naughty one.
Well, maybe I remember teasing my nephew, Matthew, one time. This was probably because my mom brought it up. She's like, do you remember how you told Matthew to stay out of your dreams? And I was like, yeah. She goes, do you remember what that dream was? And I was like, yeah. I said, in my dream, it was a black room, and my dad was standing there talking to me, and then all of a sudden Matthew walked in, and he told me, you tell my dad to watch out for that man in the car. I'm like, okay. And so I passed on that message, as weird as it was. That next day, my brother was on his way to the airport to get Matthew, and avoided a car that came flying, avoided an accident and a pileup.
Oh, wow.
So it's sort of like those things where, that's how the spirit, because when we can't tap into that energy, that's how spirit comes through. It's the real thing. It's a message. Just another way your guides give you a message.
So really our whole life's full of messages. We just
miss them.
Yeah. Unless they smack you in the face. Even then, I think
a
lot of people closed off to it.
There are times where your guides will smack you in the face.
Oh, good.
Not literally, but if you're not doing what you're supposed to. Just like I know I have a Native American woman guide. I haven't seen her in a long time, but when I was living a life that I shouldn't have been living, I remember looking in the rearview mirror and seeing her sit behind me. And she looked just like me, except for she was Native American. And within days, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And I received bad juju for it. It doesn't matter because it was, 20 years ago. But that was before I was into my spirituality at all. But I will always remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I have a spirit guide named Indian Joe. And the first time I connected with that was getting my first reading. And she says, you have a spirit guide named Indian Joe. And I was telling my mom about it later. She goes, the lady had told me that he always guides me when I'm in the vehicle driving.
Okay.
And my mom's like, she goes, when you were little, when we were in the car, you would always talk. And I would ask you who you were talking to, and you would tell me Indian Joe.
I remember this from our very, very first recording, actually. Yeah.
Yep. So it's those things, those signs and symbols.
You try to link back.
To help you lead a better life, to keep you safe. Or when you're doing dumb shit, to give you a wake-up call and say, hey, do this or else. And then if you're not doing what you're supposed to, the universe will come and bite you in the ass and make you start all over again.
I believe that.
That's when you hit rock bottom. Or if you're not, you're supposed to be leading a different kind of life.
Maybe not the wrong one, but just
you have a different path. They're going to shake up your path and force you onto the other path because you're not listening. So that's where you find those people who have hard lives because they don't listen. So shit gets shaken.
Shaking the shit.
Shit shaken.
Interesting.
All I know is I don't want my shit shaken, and
I'm just saying.
I will
and
shake my
that
own
out
shit
there.
And watch for my right path. Not let anybody else bug me or trigger me. I'm just gonna walk the greatest path I can.
Freaking hate that word. The word trigger triggers me. Hayden.
Triggers.
It's Hayden. Hey Sarah, why you triggered? Hey, Sarah, why you triggered? Did I just trigger you?
He's such a shit shaker.
Oh, and he's so much bigger than me. I can't
You can't wrestle him to the ground.
No.
No.
I can't even spank him like when he was little, or no. He'll sit on me and then that's it. And what the hell, Hayden? Did I trigger you, Aunt Sarah?
I got your trigger for you.
Well, shit. He'll make you so mad, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I love you." And then 2 minutes later, he's got you triggered again. He just makes me an emotional wreck, and I bless his little heart. Anyway, it's good that he doesn't listen to this.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be like, Aunt Farrah. That's what he used to call me. Aunt Farrah. He couldn't say S's. His S's were F's. Aunt Farrah, can we go get some chocolate ice cream? Or Aunt Farrah, we taking the Frailer home? Yeah, we're taking the Frailer home. It's back when they lived in Tennessee and we moved them back up here. Aunt Farrah, we're going for chocolate ice cream. Now picture big old Hayden saying that now, and back then he was this little and
we're gonna have to comment to say it and make it into a ringtone.
Aunt Farrah, chocolate ice cream. He's shaking. Anyway, so be sure to stay caught up with the podcast. We're going to try to... No, not try. There's no more trying. There's just doing. Yeah, we're just going to be awesome. And we want to be very, very informative. Kind of stay on track with the different topics. With the spiritual topics that are paranormal. That lead back into that. It's just so much. So if there are other topics, or if you want to know more, you have a particular question about spirit guides, email. Drop us a message on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of them. We're on all of them. Not that I know how to work all of them, but we're on there.
On there somewhere.
I am such an old lady when it comes to that. I'm learning slowly but surely, almost a year later. I'm trying to learn. I have my young ones try to teach me, and I don't learn very well, apparently. So, be sure to stay caught up, download, and subscribe on anything and all that you can. Also, keep an eye on the YouTube channel for more videos. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try our best to put more videos up and whatnot. We do have a lot of stuff happening for us this year. We're just the first weekend, and I'm already overwhelmed, but trying to keep everything so we can add more to what we already have going for us. So that's going to be awesome. I said, anything that we put on the YouTube will also, 99.9% of the time, also be on Facebook as well. So I'm going to say, email us, like I said, questions, ideas, whatever you want, paranormalxl@writeme.com. And go to our webpage too. Josh and Julie set that up for us. I need to get back on there, too. I know there's more pictures and videos that we need to put on there, but that's just www.paranormalxl.com. We're on Facebook, paranormalxl, Instagram, XL. Well, it's at XL Paranormal because I did something. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And then on Twitter, it's at paranormalxl. So, anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Are you sure? I'm just kidding. Remember, don't yuck someone else's yum.